What happens when an astronaut bleeds in space? Could turn a minor cut into a life-threatening emergency. When blood meets the void of microgravity aboard the International Space Station, everything we know about wounds, clotting, and healing gets flipped upside down. Picture this. An astronaut aboard the International Space Station accidentally cuts their hand while handling equipment. On Earth, you'd expect the blood to drip down, clot quickly, and begin healing within hours. But in space, that same wound becomes a floating crimson sphere, defying gravity and potentially threatening the entire mission. The story of how we discovered these dangers begins with a phone call that no doctor ever expects to receive. Dr. Stefan Moll, a blood clot expert at the University of North Carolina, was at home when his phone rang. His wife answered and passed him the receiver with an unusual comment. "Stefan, a phone call for you from space." On the other end of the line was an astronaut aboard the International Space Station 250 miles above Earth, calling about humanity's first documented blood clot in space. And amazingly, the call connection was better than when I call my family in Germany, even though the ISS zips around Earth at 17,000 miles per hour, Moll later recalled. This wasn't a routine consultation. This was medical history in the making, highlighting just how unprepared we were for the realities of bleeding and blood disorders in the final frontier. The case, later documented in the New England Journal of Medicine by NASA astronaut physician Serena Onion Chancellor and the medical team, would reveal shocking truths about how space changes our blood. When astronauts first arrive in microgravity, their bodies undergo dramatic changes that affect every aspect of how blood behaves. Within hours of reaching space, blood and other body fluids that normally pool in the legs due to gravity suddenly surge upward toward the heart and head. This phenomenon, known to astronauts as puffy face or bird legs, causes prominent facial swelling and a 10 to 30% decrease in leg circumference. But the changes go far deeper than cosmetic alterations. The fluid shift increases stroke volume by 35 to 46% and cardiac output by 18 to 41%. Despite this increased cardiac activity, astronauts enter a state of hypovolemia, a dangerous reduction in blood volume, losing 10 to 15% of their total blood volume. The pressure in their jugular veins can almost quadruple, and the cross-sectional area of these veins increases dramatically, with measurements ranging from 30 to 225% larger than normal. These cardiovascular changes set the stage for what happens when bleeding occurs in space. The high surface tension property of blood, unopposed by gravity, promotes the formation of large fluid domes that stick directly to wounds. Unlike on Earth, where gravity helps blood flow away from an injury, space blood essentially sticks to whatever surface it touches first. Research conducted during parabolic flights has revealed the bizarre behavior of different types of bleeding in microgravity. Arterial and venous bleeding breaks apart into uniform spheres, with low-velocity blood spheres actually bouncing off absorbent pads and suction tips. Conventional methods like dabbing with gauze fragment blood into small spheres that float freely in the cabin atmosphere. Even capillary oozing, the most minor form of bleeding, requires completely different treatment techniques, with blood needing to be wicked up with gauze rather than simply wiped away. The implications become terrifying when you consider severe bleeding scenarios. Due to the reduced blood volume in space and the unpredictable spurting patterns caused by lack of gravity, bleeding more than 100 milliliters per minute essentially puts an astronaut at the point of no return. That's less than half a cup of blood per minute, a threshold that would be concerning but manageable on Earth. The discovery of space's first blood clot in 2019 revealed another dark side of the bleeding equation. Approximately 2 months into an International Space Station mission, routine ultrasound examinations for a research study on fluid redistribution accidentally uncovered something unprecedented: an obstructive deep vein thrombosis in an astronaut's left internal jugular vein. This was completely uncharted territory. The irony wasn't lost on the medical team. As NASA officials noted, if it wasn't for the study, there's no telling what the outcome could have been. The ultrasound machine, originally intended to study how body fluids move in zero gravity, became a life-saving diagnostic tool. The astronaut had no symptoms, making this discovery purely accidental. For over 90 days, the astronaut performed ultrasounds on their own neck while doctors on Earth guided treatment. Treating the clot presented unique challenges that highlighted the medical limitations of space. There was no established protocol for treating deep vein thrombosis in zero gravity. The space station's limited pharmacy didn't support long-term anticoagulation therapy. Syringes were a precious commodity, And even drawing liquid medications from vials became a significant challenge because of surface tension effects in microgravity. Dr. Moll worked with NASA to ration the station's limited supply of the blood thinner enoxaparin, carefully calculating dosages to treat the clot effectively while ensuring the medication would last until the next cargo resupply mission could deliver fresh supplies. This delicate balancing act between treatment and resource management exemplifies the unique complexities of space medicine. The broader picture of injuries aboard the International Space Station reveals a troubling trend. A NASA study cataloged 219 in-flight injuries across the U.S. space program, with an incidence rate of roughly 0.02 per flight day. Hand injuries were most frequent, typically small cuts from moving between modules or handling equipment. But the most surprising discovery is that exercise, the leading countermeasure designed to protect astronauts' bones and muscles from the effects of microgravity, has become the leading source of injuries on the ISS. The physiological changes affecting blood in space extend beyond immediate bleeding concerns. Space anemia, characterized by a 10 to 12% decrease in red blood cell mass, occurs within the first 10 days in space. Research led by Dr. Guy Trudel at the Ottawa Hospital through the Canadian Space Agency's Marrow experiment revealed that microgravity destroys red blood cells 54% faster than on Earth. Biomarkers of hemolysis, red blood cell destruction remain elevated throughout long-duration missions, suggesting that the space environment continuously breaks down blood cells at an accelerated rate. Research has shown that changes in microgravity create a situation where astronauts face an increased risk of dangerous blood clots due to blood stasis, flow turbulence, and fluid shifts, while they simultaneously experience decreased platelet aggregation, contributing to deficits in primary blood clotting mechanisms and increased bleeding tendencies from wounds. It's a medical catch-22 that makes both bleeding and clotting more dangerous than on Earth. The wound healing process itself becomes problematic in space. Dr. Marjana Tomac-Kanik, director of the Wound Healing and Regenerative Medicine Research Program, explains that wounds inflicted in space may exhibit delayed healing responses, similar to chronic wounds seen in conditions like diabetic foot ulcers or venous leg ulcers. Preliminary animal studies show conflicting results, with some suggesting normal healing and others indicating significant delays or complications. As we look toward longer missions to Mars and beyond through NASA's Artemis program, the medical challenges become exponentially more complex. The recent medical evacuation from the International Space Station in January 2026 marked a historic first when Crew 11 returned early after 1,607 days due to a serious health issue. NASA astronaut Mike Finke noted how crucial their onboard ultrasound machine became when the medical emergency arose, stating, "So when we had this emergency, the ultrasound machine came in super handy." This evacuation represented NASA's first medical evacuation in 65 years of human spaceflight, highlighting how rare such events are, but also how unprepared we remain for serious medical emergencies beyond Earth's immediate vicinity. Japanese astronaut Kimiya Yui reflected on the experience, saying, "We can handle any kind of difficult situation. This is actually very good experience for the future of human spaceflight." Current research is racing to address these challenges. Before we venture deeper into space, scientists at San Jose State University are using tissue-on-a-chip systems to investigate how blood cells respond to the combined effects of altered blood flow and microgravity. The European Space Agency has conducted experiments examining how sutured wounds heal in space, while NASA continues testing new surgical techniques and technologies. The development of robotic surgery capabilities represents one promising avenue forward. The miniaturized in vivo robotic assistant, known as Mira, has been tested aboard the International Space Station, demonstrating that complex medical procedures could potentially be performed remotely from Earth. Researchers have also developed the Aqueous Immersion Surgical System, AISS, a transparent box that creates a watertight seal over wounds and fills with sterile saline solution, allowing surgical procedures to be performed in a controlled fluid environment that mimics some aspects of Earth-based surgery. But the most sobering reality is that current International Space Station medical protocols are designed around a simple principle: stabilize and transport. The station's Advanced Life Support Pack can deliver advanced cardiac life support and advanced trauma life support, but any definitive medical management requires medical evacuation to Earth. There's no MRI machine, limited surgical supplies, and insufficient space for extensive procedures. Most crew medical officers receive only about 30 hours of medical training as part of their mission preparation, and few have formal medical backgrounds. They're essentially highly trained first responders working in an environment where the nearest hospital is a multi-day journey away at best. As NASA prepares to send humans back to the Moon and eventually onto Mars through future Artemis missions, we're entering an era of what NASA calls Earth-independent medical operations. These missions will require completely self-sufficient medical capabilities, potentially using artificial intelligence to assist crew medical officers and drawing on every lesson learned from current space medicine research. The reality of bleeding in space isn't just about the physics of floating blood droplets or the challenges of applying bandages in microgravity. It's about fundamental questions of human survival in an environment our bodies were never designed to inhabit. Every cut becomes a potential crisis, every clot a life-threatening emergency, and every medical decision a calculation between limited resources and uncertain outcomes. The astronaut who made that historic phone call to Dr. Moll was successfully treated and completed their mission safely, but their experience serves as a stark reminder that as we reach for the stars, we're still learning the most basic lessons about keeping human bodies alive and healthy beyond our home planet. The next time you watch astronauts floating gracefully through the International Space Station, remember that beneath that serene weightlessness lies a complex medical reality where something as simple as a paper cut could change everything.